The current Coventry City team are looking to make history as they begin their quest this weekend to win the Championship playoff final. Their first leg at home to Middlesbrough is on Sunday, and if they do win promotion, they will become cult heroes, very much like the team of the 1986-87 season that ended with winning the FA Cup. Keith Houchen is one of those legends of that cup final team and scored a very legendary goal as well. And he joins me right now. Keith, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Natalie. You?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. And you are looking very well, I must say. May 16th, 1987. That is a date that will live in the memory for Coventry City fans. And I'm sure yourself, well, after that 3-2 win over Spurs in the FA Cup. We will talk about that goal a little bit later on.
Okay.
But even after all this time, Keith, Wembley must hold a special place in your heart.
Yes, Wembley. The old Wembley Stadium was my stadium, obviously. But yeah, of course, it's where everybody always wanted to play. Everybody wanted to get to Wembley. And it was a lot harder in my day, actually, when we did win the FA Cup in 87. It was a lot harder to play at Wembley. You had to literally get to a cup final or play for your country. But obviously, like I say, it's a culmination now. They do the playoffs, and they're all pushing to get back into the Premier League, and that's where it all happens at Wembley. So yeah, it'd be a fantastic day for everybody, and it is an amazing stadium. I have been.
Oh, you have been to the new one?
I have been. Believe it or not, I was actually invited as a Wembley legend when they had the very first match. I think it was Manchester United Chelsea. And it was it was a different stadium, completely different to the stadium that I had grown up with, the old Wembley with the Twin Towers and everything. But just an amazing play, a really amazing place. Obviously, they brought it kicking and screaming into the 21st century, and just a much better place to actually stand and view and stuff like that, I would imagine, or sit and view. But not the rest of it hadn't changed. You still came down Wembley way and still got that same old feeling, you know.
I was going to say, I think regardless, it will always have that feeling. It's Wembley at the end of the day. And there are people and there are players even who don't play here who always say they want to play
at Wembley,
at Wembley. But exactly. Let's get back to that final then, because coming into this game, you know, Spurs had the likes of Glenn Hoddle, Chris Waddle, Ozzy Ardiles. I would imagine they were very much the favourites.
You're making me nervous saying that. Yeah, I know what you're saying. They were world class players. You know, I mean, Glenn Hoddle was my hero at the time. You know, so when I was actually wearing a number 10 and he was wearing number 10, I actually say that I got the medal. He got the wrong medal because I got the gold medal and he got the silver medal on the day. But no, I wouldn't. Honestly, in our dressing room and amongst the team that we had, and these were great pros. I mean, we'd all known each other for years and years. We'd played each other down the leagues. And it was a journey for all of us. We'd had to work our way through the leagues to even get to play in the first division, a lot of us. I mean, I was at Chesterfield with Steve Akrozovic when we were just kids as apprentices and that, you know. And I'd played against the likes of Mickey Ginn at Peterborough and Mickey Adams at Gillingham. And it was just that sort of team. But we had real belief in ourselves. And I know it's been said a million times before, but we had a manager, John Sillett, who was all about being larger than life and self-belief, and he just instilled in us that season. We got on this run. We got on this incredible run, and we never felt like underdogs. I can honestly say that. We had a fantastic game at Highfield Road early in the season that could have gone either way. We ended up winning it 4-3. Big Cyril Regis got a header at the back post. He beat me to it by about an inch. We were both vying for that one. And I can't remember how the other result went, but we just that particular season, or them 2 or 3 seasons that we had, I think it would have always taken a really very, very good side to beat us, and we were never going to lie down for anybody. So we were always quietly confident. And don't forget, John Sillett said very early on in that cup run that our name was on the cup and we were winning it. So we believed him.
Well, he sounds like he was a character. I know he's a legend as well. A legend. Yeah. You when you're viewed as the underdogs, as you've put it, you have to have characters, don't you? You have to have those that instill the belief in you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we just played a very basic. I mean, football can be so complicated now when you read out the team sheets and the way the teams are setting up and all the rest of it. But we basically everybody had worked through the leagues, as I say. Everybody, we'd served our apprenticeships. We knew exactly where we were supposed to play in the team, what was expected of us. And we never left anything out there. I think that's the biggest thing. And it was the biggest game of our lives. And at Coventry City as a city, it was just the biggest game that was ever going to happen up until that time. And it was, I think the most important thing was to perform on the day. To have got to Wembley like we did, in the way that we did, and then to have not performed, I think it would have broken our hearts and a lot of other people's hearts. And we did go 1-0 down after about 3 minutes. And there was a few wry looks went round the team on that hot sunny day. But it was as it turned out, it was that sort of game. It was just a great game of football end to end, exactly what you would have expected in an FA Cup tie in them days. It was always sunny. The old Wembley always looked so magnificent, and we put on a great game of football. So that was the main thing, I think.
Yeah, and I think legendary commentator, the late John Motson, spoke about one of the best on as well. In terms of the buzz around the city then, ahead of that FA Cup final, what was that like?
Oh, incredible. Absolutely. I can imagine what it must be like now as well with all of this that's going on, because I follow all my teams. It takes a long time because I played for a lot of teams, but I follow all the results every weekend or whatever they're playing. And Coventry have kind of snuck along. I mean, am I right in saying they were bottom of the league before Christmas or something, because they didn't get to play they didn't get to play the home games, did they?
That's right. They had a number of postponements. They didn't win a game. I think it was 7 games without a win they started with.
Yeah, exactly. And they've kind of stuck along. And then they've almost become the form team just of late. And I know I have friends. I mean, Middlesbrough is my hometown. I went to the primary school right next door to Ayresome Park when I was a kid. That's where my love of football came from. I used to go into the dressing room when I was at primary school and run errands for the players and stuff, and go and have a look at the pitch and things. So I have an affinity with Middlesbrough in that respect, although I never played with them. But friends of mine have said that Middlesbrough, since Carrick took over as manager, have been a really outstanding team. They've been playing some great football. But they have gone off the boil, apparently. Last month or so, they've gone off the boil. And that's what makes me just lean towards Coventry a little bit, thinking, well, Coventry have hit their kind of form and their buzz, and Middlesbrough just gone off theirs a little bit. But, you never know.
You're absolutely right about both forms, and also the fact that Middlesbrough themselves got off to a bad start. Michael Carrick came in and then they charged up the table.
Yeah, exactly.
We will talk about that game a little bit later on. But in terms of scoring great goals at Wembley, which is what either side will hope to do by getting to that final, what's the advice you would give them? Because your goal in that FA Cup final was an absolute cracker, that flying header.
Yeah. A worldie, my daughter calls it now. It was a worldie, apparently.
It really is. It's beautiful.
I think that's just concentrating on your game, really. Like I said earlier on, play to the best of your ability. Make sure you don't leave anything out there, and things like that. I mean, and I've spoke about the goal. You can imagine, Natalie, over the years, it's been 35, 36 years, that many times, that I almost sometimes forget whether I'm remembering what happened or whether I'm just talking about something because I've talked about it that many times. But football, like I say, at the end of it all, football you set all your moves up and you've got to be set up right and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, it is a game of instinct as well. So if you look at that goal, in a lot of ways, it was like perfect coaching. All the things that we did, we were all in the right positions at the right time. But this sprinting into the box and trying to lose your marker and then reacting to a cross, you look at it now, and the only way you can get there is to throw yourself and head it. And then obviously you've got to get it on target. Imagine all these years later, if I'd missed the post by an inch, we wouldn't be talking about it anymore, would we? So basically, it's a game of instinct. I think you just got to go out there and make sure that you play the right game. And then if something special is going to happen for you, it will happen. And I think it was my time. I think it was our time as a club and as players. And I think it was my time as a player. I'd seen all the worst side of football. I really had played at some cold, wintry, rubbish grounds over the years. And it just seemed to come together in that cup run. And I just think we put the work, I certainly put the work in on the day. And then, a lot of it becomes a game of instinct. And before you know it, you've walked away with a goal that and we've won a cup. I mean, it was the trophy at the time. Don't forget, that was the holy grail that people wanted to win. So, like you say, put the work in, and hopefully walk away with fantastic memories that will stay with you for the next 35, 36 years.
Oh, I tell you what, it was voted goal of the season, wasn't it, at that time as well? It's an iconic goal that is relived year on year when we have the FA Cup final. And it is a wonderful goal. And you have build-up play to it as well, so let's not forget.
Exactly.
You had a big part prior to being in the box.
Yeah,
but go on, Keith.
I was going to say Dave Bennett crossed the cross of his life as well. I always say that to him. Bennett, why couldn't you cross it to me like that every week? You had to wait for Wembley.
Well, if you're going to do it on any stage, you might as well do it in an FA Cup.
Yeah, it was a perfect goal,
But the worrying thing, I suppose, is, Keith, that you might have missed that final. Is that right? That you were a little unwell?
Yes, I was quite close to missing the final. That was my first. I mean, I went to Wembley when I first signed pro with Hartlepool. We used to get a couple of free tickets, and I went down to. I used to go to the Wembley matches. The first one I went to was Arsenal Ipswich. Slept in the car at the on the M1, and that was my first time in Wembley, and I just loved the place. It was just incredible. So obviously that was what I wanted to do, and no, I didn't really miss it. The lads all went up to train at Wembley the week before and stuff like that, but I was in bed sick. Jake Finlay, our reserve goalkeeper, who unfortunately was kept out of the team by big Stephen Grozovic, used to go fishing, and he brought these lovely fish in, or what I thought were lovely fish, and he put me in bed for a week. So midweek it was touch and go whether I was actually going to get to play in the final. Such is fate, isn't it? Could you imagine? We wouldn't have had. Well, who knows? It might have been. Coventry might have won 3-2, and somebody else might have got the diving header. You don't know, do you?
No, you don't. But I just wonder: was it a dodgy fish or was it dodgy cooking? I don't know if I was.
Oh well, you'll have to ask me one. It was probably none of them things, Natalie, but I just blamed Jake because it was the easiest thing to do, But I suppose it made it a lot better for me because it made the day more magical. So the first time, me being on the bus and going down Wembley Way on the bus with the crowds parting in front of me, and I'd never been into the dressing rooms. The big gates used to open up, and then you'd drive in, and you had dressing rooms on the right and left, and then we weren't allowed out on the pitch to warm up and stuff in them days. It was like a ramp up, so all you could see was a square of light. So until we brought, I mean, obviously we went up early on with our suits on with an empty stadium, but until we actually walked up and broke into the sunshine, and all that colour and noise lifting you off your feet. That was my first time for all of it. It was just the most incredible day for me to think back on,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a day.
That's Don't freeze. Don't freeze, you're thinking. Don't freeze. Just play.
Did you have nerves?
No, I loved football. Football was my thing, right, from a kid growing up in Middlesbrough and everything. Never that academic. All my brothers were very sporty. I had a brother who could ran for the county, a brother that swam for the county, and I wasn't as good at them. And then I started playing football and realised I was quite good at that, and that was my ticket out of town,
Yeah, how amazing. I was looking back at footage of the open top bus parade afterwards.
Yeah, fantastic.
That is a wow, isn't it? Thousands. I think I've 250,000 lined the streets.
They said.
Absolutely amazing, and that
it was incredible.
Added to the.
Well, that's what they can. I think that's what these lads can look forward to, isn't it? Coming back to the team of today, trying to get promotion. I think it would just be the most incredible thing. We couldn't. I mean, we knew it was a special thing, and we started off. When we started in the cup run, we'd leave. We always left Coventry by a certain road on the team bus, and there'd be a few people came out the houses and clap us. And as the cup run progressed, as we left Coventry and as we came into Coventry, them crowds grew and grew, you can imagine. And it finished up where we literally drove out of Coventry all the way down the M1 to Sheffield with the Coventry supporters hanging off bridges and sides of motorways and everything. So you can imagine when we actually did it. It's like any club, isn't it? I mean, you imagine if a major trophy that the FA Cup was at the time. Everybody dreamed of winning it and being a part of it. And we did it, and the whole town just absolutely erupted. I'll never forget the scenes in Coventry that lasted for a long, long time. And probably, you'd still bump into somebody that would say, "Oh, I'll buy you a drink,"
Oh, I'm sure there'd be a queue, Keith, for you. Absolutely. And that is what the current team, as you rightly pointed out, will want to experience. They are 3 games away from returning to the Premier League after over 20 years away.
I know, it's
what
incredible.
What would that mean, do you think?
Oh, I know what it means. Yeah, I know what it means. And the way it's built in the start, I suppose people have sent me stuff from the ground. I still call it the old Rico, but I'm not sure what you're supposed to call it these days. But it's full at the moment. These last few games, it's been full of people and full of excitement and full of colour, which is what it's meant. That's what the stadium was built for, really. It was built for Coventry City Football Club at the end of the day, and it was built for them to be successful. So they've started something, haven't they? They've started the ball rolling. As you say, Mark Robbins has just done the most incredible job. He's a bit like John Sillett. Obviously, maybe he's not in personality, but the fact that he's doing something that's lifting the whole city. And sometimes cities need the football to get them going. I know I'm a Middlesbrough lad and I'm from Middlesbrough, so I'm kind of a foot half in each camp, but more in Coventry's. But I know what it does. I know how a city and a town gets lifted by football because there's not a lot else sometimes around to lift everybody. So I just think it'd be the most incredible thing for the players. And like you say, they'll never forget it. They'll always be a part of it if they can achieve it.
Yeah, and like you say, there might be the odd person that still could buy you a pint just to say thank you. Yeah. That's what will happen with this team.
Definitely,
in touch with any of your lads that you played with?
Oh gosh, yeah, we're thick as thieves. Yeah, we're always we get together at least once a year. But we can pick up where we left. To be honest, we've lost Cyril, obviously, which is just an absolute tragedy, and it's still hard to believe that Cyril isn't with us. We don't actually meet up as much since Cyril went, because Cyril was the instigator a lot of the time, where you'd get a text saying, we're all going to Stoneleigh for a round of golf and we're staying over and we're going to have dinner and blah, blah, blah. So we don't do it half as much as we used to. But it's silly to say it, but we're back in the dressing room, and we're all 60-year-old men. In your mind, the trouble is, in your mind, you're always 26. You never change in your mind as a man. But we get together, and it's really funny. It does make me laugh because we instantly go back to dressing room mode, all the pecking order and the daft one-liners and that sort of thing. I know it's hard to imagine, but. We're all really close. We do keep in touch. We get texts and that when it's the anniversary of the Cup. Nick Pickering, my big mate, who's up the northeast with me, he's up in Sunderland. We meet up for golf regular. I always get a text on the 16th of May. Well done, big man. Be very proud, we always say. Be very proud. We did it.
And you should. You made history. It's the first time Coventry had ever made the FA Cup final, and they won it. That's an absolutely wonderful achievement, and it is something that you should all regularly meet up about.
We do. We're very proud, yeah. And Dave Bennett always moans that my goal gets all publicity and that people forget about his. But Dave Bennett's goal was an amazing goal. It was a fantastic goal. But I always tell him I had a hand in that as well.
I was about to say, you're very quick to praise Dave Bennett with his contribution to your goal, so he doesn't miss out.
No, we were just a fabulous team. It was just a great team of players who deserved everything that they got at the time, and I'm sure these lads are. And like I say, I hope they get what they deserve as well, because they've had a fantastic season.
Yeah, absolutely. And it might be a bit mixed emotions though for you, like you say, with your hometown club.
It'd be nice to see. I know it would be nice to see Middlesbrough back in the big league, because they have a wonderful stadium now as well down by the river. And I always, like you say, best wishes to Steve Gibson, the chairman. He was at college with me years ago. He always walked around with these Middlesbrough scarves and that tied on his arms and stuff. In the old days, in the 70s. And I thought that'll never catch on, and he finished on becoming this wealthy entrepreneur who owns Middlesbrough Football Club. But he's done amazing things for them. He's done fantastic things for Middlesbrough over the years, and they've been very lucky to have him as a chairman. So it's a tough one for me. It really is.
It is. You are very divided on this.
Yeah.
You're going to win either way, because someone's going to make through to the final anyway, and then we'll see.
Well, that's true, and then hopefully the team that doesn't. It's just getting them ready for next season when they are going to be ready to make the big push to do it anyway. Look on the positives. That's how I always used to play football, Natalie. Think positive. Too many negatives.
Yeah. Well, you sound like a very positive person, Keith. It's wonderful to chat to you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's nice to speak to you.